Hi, I'm Craig Phillips. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build this brick fire pit. And the tools you're going to require are bolster, lump hammer, brick trowel, pointing trowel, and pointer and spirit levels. First off, you're going to have to set out your area and dig the foundations. Hammer a metal spike into the ground, attach a piece of string on it and a spray canister and mark yourself a circle on the grass. Then take your shovel and start to dig out the topsoil off the surface of the grass. Using a large lump hammer or a sledgehammer, compact the soft earth down. Then I've created a small circle. This is out of a piece of plastic that could easily bend and tape it together with some duct tape. This is placed into the middle and given me an opening of about 800 millimeters. My overall foundation width is about 1400 millimeters, but I'm infilling around the edges with some nice stiff mixed concrete, tampered down with a plank of wood to remove all the earth and get it nice and flat and level. So now my concrete base has had a couple of days to cure. It's more or less dry. I can start to remove this plastic former that I put in to retain the sides to give me that circular piece that I wanted. Okay, and that's all nice and solid now. It won't be fully cured probably until a good for a month or so really, outside like this, but it's cured enough for me to start building off. So I've created that circle here. This is still the natural earth that was in the ground. I'm going to put some gravel in there and some hardcore, and that'll act as a soak away, because once these sides are built up, what we don't want it to do is act like a bucket and hold the rainwater and actually fill up with water. So that'll just soak away through the hardcore and into the earth. Now the structure itself, I'm going to be building out of two different type of bricks, a 65 millimeter fire brick and also a 65 millimeter engineered brick as well. Both very dense and of course will take the heat. This one, the fire brick, is going to be the inside skin, and what I'm thinking of doing is using them as a full brick, laying them like this, butt up together. Of course they will be laid on fire cement, a fire mortar, of course, for the heat. But if I butt them edges up there like that and leaving a gap here around the side, I can form the circle I want to create around this edge. And then the second skin, I'll be bedding them on and bringing them all perfectly level, of course. Then the second skin is just going to be laid over the top. Now this will bridge forward, and this corner point here and this corner point will be in the centre, or almost the centre, of each one of them surrounding bricks like this. And I'm probably going to go up to probably 3 courses with these. I think will give me a really good depth there of around about, it's probably going to give me a depth of about 250 millimeters of putting stuff in there to burn, you know, of course you would. And then the outer skin, these engineering bricks, as you can see, I've already broke a lot of them directly in half. These then are going to be bedded again with sand and cement on the outside skin, and what that'll do is, if I put them there, it'll allow me once again to more or less butt them up and create that circle that I want to go right round an area this size. Of course these will be used with this fire cement and all pointed up, and again we'll have 2 or 3 courses of them up on the outside. Now the mortar that I want to mix up for my fire pit has got to be a strong one, so I'm going to do it a 3-to-1. 3 sand, which is this sharp sand here. It's got a little bit of grit and things in it which will make it stiff and stronger, and then 1 ratio of cement, but it's not normal cement, it's a fire cement, so it's okay with the heat. So I'm going to turn my mixer on. Now if you don't happen to have a cement mixer to mix cement up, don't worry about it, it's not a problem. You can do it by hand using the same ratios, but of course mixing it up with a shovel. We've got another great video on Silverline's YouTube channel about me building a barbecue, and you see me mix the foundations up by hand and also the mortar as well to lay the bricks. So it's all the same principles as that video. So I'm going to start with my internal course, which of course is my fire brick, by just laying a dry run right the way around to kind of see where they meet, because I want to try to avoid cutting them at this point if possible. But that's kind of what I'm aiming to do, is to just butt up the corners. There will be mortar in between them and underneath them, holding them into position and getting them level. So I'm going to start here with these two. Let's brush the dust off there so it keys nice. Okay. So place these in. Just gentle for now. Each one as level as possible. So I'm just putting my spirit level across them this way to make sure they're level, and also that way. So I'm pleased with that. I'm going to continue on these next two on above me there. And I'm not going to point in between these just yet. I will do once I've got a full circle made from here. But until then, I'm just gently placing them into position. So now I've got my first course laid round, sitting on a bed of sand and cement mortar with the fire cement in. I'm just going to take my pointing trowel and start to, in fact the round edge gauging trowel, just start to take that off a little bit and try to fill in any of them gaps under there, kind of pointing it in a way, just before it goes too hard. And that'll protect any heat then from getting inside there. Now I've pointed that inside edge, make it a bit tighter. As I say, aesthetically it's not that worrying about what that looks like, because of course you're going to have your logs in there burning and these eventually will go black. It's more about the strength. So these inside edges now, you've got to be quick with your mortar, because when you've added that fire cement in there, it really acts as an accelerator. It's really, really quick. So what I'm going to do is point these up in between them, point them up, and then that'll hold them nice and tight into position. So a general tip for using fire cement is only mix a small amount what you need, because you don't want to waste it. It's quite expensive. Okay, so that's my first course bedded in, leveled, and I'm going to leave this now for an hour or two to set, and then I can start to lay my second and third course. Now the second and third course aren't going to be bedded on, they're just going to be rested flush, flat on this all the way around. They're going to be held into place by pointing them again at the back, the way I've done this one, and of course they will bridge across centre to centre of the brick across here. It'll give us a nice little shape on the inside, but nice and stiff and strong on the outside. Then once that's set in place, we're ready for the outer skin with the engineering bricks. And then double check once you're happy with that circle and they're all sitting on one and each, staggering each other by 50% how they should be, and the joints are almost butt up around there. You're then ready to apply your mortar in the back sides here of all of the pips. So at the moment it's just about getting as much of that mortar in as you can and as tight as you can. After about 5 or 10 minutes, that's going to start to go hard. As you can see now, it's starting to go hard. So what I'm doing is I'm just scratching it off the top surface of this brickwork, and then I'm going to start to point these a little bit more tight. I can just point it up like this and get it a little bit smoother each time I do it. And of course the brickwork along here can be cleaned up once it's dry. You can actually give that a little thing called a bag rub. You get the bag off the cement itself, the inside of it, and just buff it up over the top, and it cleans that brick off and just finishes off your pointing on the top. So the internal skin of this is almost dry, and as you can see, I've started to put the first course on of the external skin around there. Now, while I'm waiting for some more mix to actually mix up in the mixer, I've got myself a load of rubble here. So I'm going to put some hardcore down in the bottom, because of course we want that to act as a soak away and an actual drain. So I've got loads of off-cut pieces of brick and block here, even ceramic tiles. I'm just going to throw them all into the bottom, get them relatively flat, and then I'm going to cover them with a smaller stone, which is all crushed up. And that's the inside base of the fire pit now complete. That'll act as a soak away, so it won't allow any water to fill up in there, but it'll also act like a storage heat as well, because once your logs have burnt in here for a few hours, all that bits of rubble and bricks and ceramic in there will contain the heat and keep it a lot warmer. All my outer course of bricks right around the fire pit are halves, so I've got to cut a lot of these engineering bricks. There's a couple of ways of doing them. Of course, you could use your grinder and grind through them, but they are very dense. They would be quite slow. A quicker way is the old-fashioned traditional hammer and bolster. Where I want it breaking, spin it over that way, holes facing up and down, and then another little tap, more or less right in the middle. What we don't want to do is put too much pressure on there. We can fracture it gently a little bit, but not too much, because you'll find it will just crack. So you can just give it a little bit of a tickle where you want it to split. And then once you've done that, a little bit harder then, you've gone right round, quite pressure on there, press it down onto something soft as well. Sometimes on a bed of sand, piece of grass is ideal for it, and then a little bit harder, right in the very centre. Here we go, and that's the half that we want. So as you can see, I've laid my first course, the base course, right the way around the outer skin using the engineering bricks. And what I simply did was chop them directly in half, and I'm using, for the face of them, I'm using actually the edge of the brick. So of course that would normally be like that, and they would get bedded on and buttered up that way. But we're going to see that as the face edge now, right the way around. And of course they will be staggered 50%, as you'd expect with any type of normal stretcher bond on brickwork. Just like that. Now of course all bricks are a complete square edge there, and we're trying to make a circular shape. So the way to do that is, when we're bonding them together, I'm putting the mortar on a little bit of a slope like this. So of course when I lay that there, the brick itself is closer and tighter there at the back, and then wider there at the front. And that'll allow it to start creating this bit of a circular shape for me, right the way around the fire pit. So I've put the top third course on now and it's about to get pointed up, and I've got quite a lot of mortar left, so it does have the fire cement in it. So I'm just creating a bit of a coping kind of stone really over the top, a little bit of a slope chamfering down both ends. So I'm spreading it on just roughly at the moment with the trowel, and then when it starts to go off, I'm just going to get my little float and start to buff it up a little bit and create a bit of a kind of a rough buffed edge on it. You'll see in a second once it starts to react how it turns out, and it just gives it a little bit of a better look. Once it's all dry, it'll blend in and it'll stop any water getting in any of the holes or anything at the top. Now you need to let this dry for at least 10 days before you start a fire. And when you do start a fire, just a nice small one to start with, let that burn out. The following night, a little bit bigger, the following night, a bit bigger again, and then it should be perfect. So that's my brick built fire pit now complete. And of course it can double up as a barbecue if you bridge the cross with your griddle. Hopefully I've inspired you to build your own fire pit, but if you're looking for more inspiration or how-to videos, check us out on all social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to know more details about the tools I've been using, just go to the website silverlinetools.com.